Sisters. Sisters. A chill went down my spine as I considered Rose's request, and I found that I had reached the limit of my generosity. I leveled my emerald gaze at her, and answered as firmly as I could. No. No. No, you may not call me your sister. Rose's expression fell, and her hands dropped back to her sides. She blinked at me, dumbfounded, clearly never having anticipated such an answer. You do hate me, then? She whispered, her chin trembling with the first sign of tears. Of course I hated her. It's not a matter of my feelings for you, I answered, trying to keep my voice steady, though my emotions boiled within. Listen carefully, Miss Rose. You may have become the king's concubine, but you are not my sister and never will be, nor will you ever be a part of this royal family. Now, I've had more than enough of this discussion. It's time for you to leave. I nodded at Sir Artemis, and he immediately escorted Rose out of the room. I could hear her pathetic sobs echoing down the hall as she retreated. The little she-devil accused me of being a mere concubine. A concubine? I'm her sister now. We serve the same man. How can she not see? Baron Land, tell me, why does the Queen shun me?
Rose lounged on the settee in her new and luxuriously appointed boudoir, alternately pouting and fuming. The Baron, now assigned to manage most of her affairs, had thought that today's visit would be rather perfunctory. After all, the contract signing ceremony was over. What more was there to do? But now the poor man stood with his arms folded over the leather portfolio he carried, taken aback and stuttering.
You visited the Queen?
Of course I did. Why would you ask such a question?
But you visited the Queen?
Yes. She sent me a gift. I thought I should go and thank her and introduce myself properly, since our meeting in the garden was, well, rather unexpected, and I had been preoccupied just moments before.
Baron Lant pinched the bridge of his nose, trying not to groan. Rose tilted her little blonde head in confusion.
What is it? Did I do something wrong?
Worse than wrong.
At the change in the Baron's tone, Rose sat up, encouraging him to continue.
Miss Rose, your position is in exact opposition to the Queen's.
Why? We both serve the same husband.
Baron Lant couldn't believe the words coming out of Rose's mouth. He would have believed her insolent, even traitorous. However, her dark, wide eyes and open, doll-like expression convinced him that she acted out of a childish innocence. In fact, her looks would have convinced him of just about anything. Nonetheless, her ignorance was still something to be marveled at. She knew less about aristocratic society than even a child. Taking a deep breath to steady his nerves, the Baron stepped a little closer to Rose.
Miss Rose, did anyone advise you, for or against, when you mentioned your intended plan to visit the Queen?
Well, Cheryl and Kaya might have said something.
What did they say?
They thought it was a bad idea.
With that admission, Rose dropped her gaze to the ground, sniffling quietly. The Baron nearly reached for his handkerchief before remembering her lowly position, though when he spoke again his tone was far softer than the one he had been previously using.
And who are they, this Cheryl and Kaya?
My maids. The king assigned them to me.
Maids? Those are just servant girls. They know nothing of the world. Miss Rose, do you not have any proper ladies-in-waiting?
Rose looked up into Baron Lant's eyes, a single crystalline tear dropping down her cheek. This time, the Baron did reach for his handkerchief, hurriedly handing it over to the poor girl in front of him.
No. Should I have?
Baron Lant grumbled indignantly.
Yes, Rose, you most certainly should. But don't you worry, my dear. Leave this with me. I'll see that you are properly cared for.
Baron Lant found the king in the armory, restringing his favourite bow. He had had to push through the horde of servants and secretaries who surrounded Aldrich, each eager to tend to their own responsibilities, but he now stood front and centre. However, the king's attention was still decidedly elsewhere, even though he addressed him directly.
But, Your Majesty, Miss Rose is ignorant of aristocratic society, and even as your concubine, this can't be abided. She must have training, education, someone to guide her.
She has maids for that.
Who are just as ignorant as she is. Sir, she must have at least one, preferably two ladies-in-waiting. You wouldn't want her behavior to embarrass you, sire, not with the upcoming winter solstice celebrations.
A murmur of whispers swept through the attending secretaries. Most were smart enough to keep quiet, but one was indignant enough to speak up.
What self-respecting noblewoman would want to serve a commoner like her?
The Baron was quick to snap back.
Miss Rose is not the first commoner to become a concubine.
That silenced the room. However, knowing he had let his emotions get the better of him, the Baron's cheeks pinked, then turned a flaming red when he realized that even the king had quit fiddling with the bowstring as a result of his outburst. Baron, you seem to favor the girl.
No, Your Majesty.
Are you certain? Does she not capture your attention? The Baron was aware of the danger lacing the king's voice.
Only insofar as it is proper, Your Majesty.
Good, because let everyone here note, Rose is mine. As if to underscore his point, in one swift motion, the king stood, strung his bow, and shot an arrow at a target on the far wall of the armory. A perfect strike. Taking a deep breath to steady his nerves, Baron Lant returned to a safer topic.
Your Highness, she must learn.
Don't be ridiculous. I can teach her whatever she needs to know. It's not like she's becoming queen, for God's sake.
With all due respect, Your Majesty, Miss Rose knows so little, and the demands on your own time are so great. Please, Highness, for her sake and for yours, you must give her a lady-in-waiting to guide her in the ways of aristocratic society.
Instead of answering, Aldrich turned his attention to a nearby quiver, suddenly fascinated by the arrows held within. When he spoke again, his voice was muted, as if in confession. This was something that had already been on my mind. Baron Lant, make it so.
Your wish is my command, sire.
The atmosphere of rumour and gossip had been so thick in the castle that I couldn't wait to get out of doors. The gardens of the Western Palace were renowned across the realm, boasting divine flowers, priceless statues, and majestic trees soaring well into the sky. It was one of my favourite places to stroll and soothe my mind. My ladies-in-waiting trailed me by a respectful distance, allowing me the space and time to admire particularly colourful blooms or glittering pebbles for as long as I wanted. But there was something new in the garden today, something I had never seen there or anywhere else before. On a sturdy branch of juniper perched an exotic and handsome bird, hawk-like and of a decent size, preening its array of feathers. What a strange creature, I muttered to myself. Glancing over my shoulder, I saw that the ladies hadn't noticed it yet. They were too busy chattering about the futility of Aldrich's search for a lady-in-waiting for Rose. I was somehow glad that they were distracted, as it meant the mysterious creature could be mine and mine alone for a few moments longer. Careful not to make any sudden movements, I slowly approached the bird. It was an alert little thing, instantly aware of me, and yet it showed no fear. Emboldened by this, I reached out my hand, The bird cocked its head, but quickly hopped on, grasping my forearm so tightly that its talons pierced the fabric of my sleeve. I could feel the warm trickle of blood on my skin beneath, but I didn't flinch. I couldn't say why, but I found myself captivated. It wasn't long before my ladies noticed. "What a pretty bird! Where did it come from? It's so fearless." Even as the ladies surrounded us, the bird didn't startle. I risked stroking the curve of its head, certain it was going to fly off, but to my delight, it didn't. So incredibly soft, its feathers were a sheen of black, but when the bird moved, catching the light of the sun, a blaze of colours gleamed from beneath, blues, golds, and greens, running down its neck and flaring onto its wings. That was when I noticed a small scroll of parchment tied to its leg with a silk ribbon. Gently, I tugged the knot loose and unfurled the paper. The ladies quieted at my discovery. It was a handwritten note.
The sight of you sets a fire in my soul. It pains and tortures me, yet I cannot resist it. I cannot resist you.
A nervous laugh escaped my lips, followed by a chorus of giggles from my ladies-in-waiting. "Who do you suppose that was meant for?" one of them asked. "For the Queen, of course," scolded another. "The bird found her, didn't it? That letter could be meant for anyone." The ladies' soft voices erupted into an argument about the note, but while I held the parchment in my hand, I blushed. I didn't know how, but I knew that it was indeed for me. But from who? Countess Eliza, noticing the blush on my cheeks, sidled up to me. "Will you write back, Your Majesty?" I hesitated for a moment, suddenly unsure about impropriety, but the fizz of electricity across my skin enticed me to engage in this little game. "Do any of you carry a quill and parchment?" "Yes, Your Highness. I have some just here in my pocket." Taking up the implements from Viscountess Verdi, I settled myself on a nearby bench and tried to compose my reply. My ladies hovered around me, eager to see what I would write. One who plays with fire often gets burned. Satisfied with my response, and with the giggles it received from my ladies, I returned the quill, then took the bird to a nearby fountain, allowing it to drink while I tied my note onto its leg. Seeming to understand that its mission was complete, the bird nuzzled its beak against my hand before flying away. "How curious," I mused, caressing the spot on my skin where the creature had touched me. We had spent a long and pleasurable afternoon walking in the gardens and chattering about the bird. However, when my ladies-in-waiting and I returned to my apartments, we found one of Aldrich's secretaries waiting for us. He looked displeased. "Yes, what is it?" I asked.
The king has requested your presence, Your Majesty.
"All right. I will just change and then—"
No, Your Majesty, you are already late.
With that one unfriendly statement, I felt all the happiness of my time with the handsome bird drain away, and judging by the expressions on my ladies' faces, they felt the same. This had to be about Rose. Until this business with her, I had never minded when Aldrich called for me. Usually I thrilled for it, for it often meant he was desperate with yearning. But now I couldn't help but wonder what his true motivations were. Straightening my back, I gave the secretary my reply. "Very well, lead the way." As I followed the man to the Eastern Palace, my thoughts began to swirl. Rose was now his concubine, that much was clear. But I had no reason to be friendly with her, no obligation. I was fully within my rights to turn her away. Shouldn't that be the end of it? Was Aldrich going to criticize me for not calling her my sister? No. No matter how infatuated he was with her, he couldn't expect that of me. He knew better. Aldrich had seen his father's concubines as he grew up. He saw how his mother had treated them, and therefore he understood the unspoken rules between queens and women like them. Before I knew it, I found myself being admitted into Aldrich's darkened library.
I've been waiting for an hour. Where were you?
Am I required to account for my whereabouts at all times now?
It was a simple question that demands a simple answer.
His tone was brusque. He didn't sound like himself. I quickly realized I had better be truthful. I was in the gardens with my ladies-in-waiting. I needed some air. Satisfied that I was obedient once more, Aldrich went about silently preparing a draught of wine for us. He was buying time, and sure enough, once he handed me the goblet, he launched into the real topic he wanted to discuss.
I'm planning on giving Miss Rose a lady-in-waiting. Maybe two.
So I've heard. I responded, keeping my voice steady. Your secretaries are turning themselves inside out in their search.
And yet, after all their efforts, no noblewoman has come forward. Not a single one.
Is that so? I asked as plainly as I could.
It is my suspicion that they are not coming forward because of you.
Me? Why? Aldrich carefully, deliberately placed his goblet upon a nearby mahogany shelf, but then, with a ferocity I hadn't expected, he whipped around to face me.
Because you, the Queen, are the caretaker of the palace, and when you do not come forward, when you shun Rose from your presence, the rest of the aristocracy believes they cannot associate with her either. So, wife, I charge you with this task. You must find a lady-in-waiting for Rose.
Aldrich? That would be tantamount to me serving her.
Yes. Yes, it would.
I nearly dropped my goblet of wine to the floor.
See that button on screen? That's your full story. Tap it and download the Pocket FM app now for free.